We're live.
Meeting of the Waupaca County Law Enforcement Committee to order on Tuesday, April 15th, 2021 at 9 a.m. in the training room at the Sheriff's Office. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statute so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. With that, I have called it to order and given the open meeting statement, the roll call is on the round. Can we move to approve the agenda? I will need. Will second. I have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Minutes of the previous meeting, I will tell you that in the draft that we got, and that's online, it says our next meeting is May 11th. And I talked to Kim and she's changed that to April 13th, so we need to reflect that change. And she has that on the minutes that she's printed for us. So with that, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, Harding moves.
I'll second that.
Mark seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Under public comment, we have an introduction of. Good morning.
I'd like to introduce one of our newest corrections officers, Jenna Brandt. Jenna comes from Sturgeon Bay PD, a patrol officer, and we decided to change careers and come to Waupaca County. We're proud of that. So you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Like Sheriff said, my name is Jenna Brandt. I'm coming from Sturgeon Bay Police Department, making a move. I had a son back in August, so I made the move to have a little bit safer career for him. Before that, I worked for Stevens Point Police Department, and prior to that, I worked at the Manitowoc County Jail. So I was working at the Manitowoc County Jail, and I was going to school for law enforcement. I got hired out of there. I currently still live in Sturgeon Bay, looking for a place here. So the commute is a little long during the day, but it's not too bad. I have 2 German Shepherds, a cat, and a great family. So.
Very good.
That's made up with, I met you at the interview.
Yes.
Craig Royalton, chair of this committee.
Mary Coleman, vice chair of this committee.
Kevin Will, supervisor.
Cindy Hardy, supervisor.
Lee Mudge, supervisor from Marion.
Dick Kepman, County Board Chair, and thank you for having dogs.
You're welcome.
Thank you, it was very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you too.
I think with that, we will move on to approving and signing of the bills. First of all, are there anything, Carl, that you would like to share with us that you feel we should know? And then we have a
If you see on page 4 of 15, the FBI training, from what I was advised, it was over in the Waupaca.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very good training, expensive, but it was very good training. If anybody that attended can say anything about it. They're finally, that's the other thing about training, they're finally opening up in the state a lot of in-person training, which is a lot more benefit. It is beneficial to be live than virtual when it comes to training for law enforcement. But I don't know if anybody that attended could just say something, you know, what
So I
the topic.
was able to attend the training, and it was amazing, even though I was quite sick for a week. But so the instructor was police chief for 2 different agencies, one in California, one in Texas, and he was just so informative and just gave us different ways and different ideas of how to lead people and how to be a better supervisor. And I don't think it's your typical, how to manage people. It was more of how to treat people, how to understand them, And it was just really, really well done. And it's actually a trilogy, so there's 3 different trainings that you can do for a week each. And then you get the trilogy award if you finish all of them. But it was phenomenal.
So was this week 1?
It's only, so there's a command leadership institute supervisor and executive. So I did the supervisor, and then command and executive are left. So those are other trainings that you go through.
And is it like in a couple of months or is it over the year?
Yeah, you can take them at any point. There's no expiration as to when to get that trilogy, but they have them all over the state and all over the country, really. So at any point, it is kind of an expensive training, so it would be nice for other people to be able to go before I finish the trilogy if I could, but
Great, thank you.
The other one is on page 11 of 15, laundry loops. And Adam, when he first came to me about telling me about laundry loops, I didn't really understand, but after I got to see him, now I understand, and he can explain how they go about it. It's pretty simple, but it's with the prisoner's clothing.
Basically, we used to have mesh bags that all the inmates would put their personals in and go around the big washer, get sent back. We're having some issues with them sneaking notes inside them. Go figure. And the bags were Velcro on top, so they're starting to also wear out. So someone, one of our corrections officers, used to play soccer and they use it for the teams. So they present the idea of it. We tried some trial runs with them, and it worked pretty nice. It's pretty much a loop with a snap on it that goes through the arm and the neck. So you can put your t-shirts all together, and it's got like a snare on it where you tighten up the socks on it. And we just labeled them for each bed that we have in the pods and we send them in there. So it's amazing. You think Amazon gives you the cheapest price ever, and they're like $12 or $13. But if you actually go to their website itself where they supply them, like $2 or $3 or something like that. It was ridiculous. So yeah, we bought them up to supply the whole jail and give us a fresh start again.
Way to be efficient. You always have to check to make sure you're getting what you get. So cool.
Page 7.
Yeah.
Canine. It was just the axon bells were put under the canine. It was a misread, so those were changed to the appropriate line item. They were taser batteries that came out of the canine. It wasn't supposed to. It was a misread from the new.
Thank you.
So.
I have a question on page 8. Graveyard auto.
That's Highway 96 north, or I'm sorry, 45 north of 96. They're a towing service.
Yeah, I figured that. I've never heard of that. It's fun. Kind of sad.
They have Auto Pro.
They're pretty new.
They also
Yeah.
own Auto Pro. They own 2 towing services.
It's just like, seen that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, Carl, go ahead.
I didn't have, it's probably what's not on here is we did purchase, basically it was dollar for dollar, because of, the reception we have, be it by, hotspots or phones, we switched over a lot. I think we're about half now on phones, out of 50 phones. We switched to FirstNet, which Shane had a FirstNet phone. We did a lot of testing and we finally came to the realization that even if you gain a bar or two, it's better than being in a dead zone. We've tested in a lot of areas, Comet Road, everywhere, and we left it open for almost a month, and I think we did at least change over. So FirstNet will be another carrier with us, and it was the same basically for hotspots and phones. So that'll be one of our newest items on the list. I mean, the line item is cell phones, and the cell phones are going to be the same, basically, so. If there's anything else.
So who is FirstNet?
FirstNet is AT&T, but it's more law enforcement oriented. If somebody's more savvy with it, they have a priority line. It's, what is it, band 14 or whatever they call it.
You may explain it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the federal government a few years ago wanted to start a cell phone data carrier that was basically funded by the federal government under grant. So AT&T won the grant. So normally the system runs on all the AT&T towers, giving us priority calls. So if we're in a situation where there's an emergency, our phones would actually kick somebody else off the line. So we always would be able to make it. The system's never going to be too busy for us. They don't throttle our data back like they do for other places. The benefit for AT&T is all their customers can use it until it turns into an emergency situation. They can shut it down. And also in those emergency situations, they can run on a different band, which gives us a little bit more range and speed. But, that's the basis of it.
Biggest frustration is me and the sheriff. We talked, we're 4 miles from each other. The phone had dropped on a 5-minute conversation. We probably dropped by 4 or 5 times. So it got frustrating for us, for sure. You know.
Also, FirstNet, they have contracted to have X amount of towers in the United States. So the service is just gonna get better.
This ultimately stemmed from 9/11, when the federal government did a study on communications during it, which there was a lack of communication with that amount of people on everything. This is a byproduct of that study. They have first responders being able to be on the network themselves.
Anything else? Other questions? My question came from, and this has happened with every department that I went through with a bill. It's called miscellaneous supplies, Amazon. Well, you can't quite figure that out, but you can figure out like the loops when they put in what it is. So is that a result of a new person, putting our bills through? Not that you can't have miscellaneous supplies, but it seems like a lot of times that is what it was, miscellaneous supplies, supplies. And I'm thinking, well, not that we have to know what everything is, but it seems like before people will.
Yeah, and when we code it, it's all descriptive in there. Like say we use Amazon procurement with our procurement card. We specifically describe what we used it on. So my thought is maybe the new entry person
It's just putting this little.
Right.
But I can ask Heidi that tomorrow at finance, but I thought, if, like when we see, well, of course, like Madeline, you know what that is, right? But then when you get to miscellaneous, or Glenn's home, whatever, you see that, you can figure that out. But when you're on Amazon, all of a sudden it's, you have no clue what you're really buying, and it's like you say, it's loops or something. We're glad that you explained it to us.
Yeah, the officers' procurement sheets that come to me prior to going, when they go to Kim sends them over to finance. There's the date, the item, and then there's the description in there. And like Kim said, it's in there, but to this level, that's why we even have to ask when we see these, what was this about? Sometimes I don't even realize what that coding is, but once you ask and drill down, you can get it. That's been for years, really.
Well, and I think miscellaneous supplies is a
Yes.
category that covers a lot of things.
and you've seen that at other committees too.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot more miscellaneous supplies listed now.
We will make sure that it is miscellaneous. We'll correct that. Cross out.
Okay. Any other questions on the bills? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve.
Also moved.
Okay, moved by Supervisor Lux, seconded by Supervisor Will. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. With that, I don't see Captain Brazil.
No, Carter will take care of that.
Okay, great.
Well, in the radio room, total number of calls, 2,171 calls. Quotes for all calls with fire departments, police departments, and vehicles. 62, well, grand total 70,682 calls for the month. Shane did not have anything else to remark on. It basically will fall into the update on the new dispatch center as far as any other information. Dispatch center at this time.
So does that include personnel?
No.
I mean, because there were interviews that I couldn't attend, and I was wondering how that turned out.
Well, I can tell you that, we had interviewed, and we, 3 or 4, we did backgrounds in the first 2, we failed.
Oh.
Due to a number of things. Third one, we're still, these are continuing with that one, and we have a 4th one that we're also trying to complete as well. And we have, I believe, 4 or 5 more.
Okay. Good. Because I know they're down.
We're down 4.
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the collective of the month.
This will just hit a few points on the report that you guys have in front of you. 225 bookings for the month, nothing out of the ordinary there, just kind of one of the mill month. The daily populations stay where we're at, so we have 239 at the time of the report. On the fees and revenue collected, I guess one thing just to kind of point out on there is our sanctions are running high again, which is good. I think a lot of that stems from other facilities still not accepting people, so we've been getting some sanctions from other places. It's on the upward trend from last year. And then our commissary commissions, we added that this year, and that's going to kind of coincide with some of the bills. We have 10,000 for commissions for this month, 21,000 for the year. And when we budgeted for our food service, and that's all built into that, and I can't remember, we budgeted 450,000 or something like that. But that's going to go over because our commissary sales are so high. So we have to buy more product, which then in turn gives us more revenue. So that's one thing I realized that we're going to be a little bit higher on that aspect. Other than that, if you have any questions on this, I'll move on to a couple other things we got going on. I know we talked about the grant on the carpet was installed upstairs in that room. We're still waiting for Sergeant Singh to install our intercom system for the volunteers and the inmates. We can go back to having volunteers come in. That room worked out perfectly. We did vaccinations for the inmates. We offered up for like a week at a time, get them thinking about it. We had roughly, it was 91 or 92 inmates got vaccinated with one shot Johnson & Johnson. Jenna Branch, she's doing a fabulous job. She's learning very quickly. Brian Lurphy's still doing a great job. We met with Dr. Fico on our last potential hire, and everything looks good there. So we hopefully will be fully staffed in June. And then one other thing just that we never included in the report, just kind of make you aware, we talked to the sheriff and thought it'd be a great idea, is that when the state shut down and didn't allow anybody to get transferred to the prisons, we had to hold on to them. And they've been reimbursing us since that's been going on. So roughly from July until February, we got reimbursed roughly $68,000 from the state. So, helps offset the cost of keeping them here.
Keeping inmates, it should have been in prison.
Is their rate that they pay us comparable to what we get from the counties that we,
No, they're not.
they're higher?
They're higher.
Okay.
Sanctions and any state inmate is, they're paid pretty decent. It's like 5146, I believe, something like that.
Super.
Yep. Cool. And that's all I got.
No, thanks for sharing that. Any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the detective.
For the detective division, the child abuse and sex offense complaints increased. There were 8 in the month of February and 9 in the month of March. This included 2 child abuse complaints, both of which were unsubstantiated. There were 7 sexual assault complaints. 2 of them were unsubstantiated, and the other ones are either still under investigation or they were sent over to the district attorney's office for charges. There was 1 burglary and 15 thefts reported in March. And the detective division served 1 search warrant, and it was for a cell phone in regards to one of the child abuse cases. So, the narcotics division, the Waupaca County Sheriff's Office narcotics officers conducted a drug interdiction night in the city of Clintonville. And they were assisted by the Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation, the Clintonville Police Department, the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force members, and the Waupaca County Sheriff's Office Patrol Division. During the interdiction, 29 traffic stops were made, which resulted in numerous citations and criminal charges. It went very well. They also obtained 2 GPS warrants for suspects transporting methamphetamine and heroin into and around Waupaca County, and the investigations are still ongoing with those. They had an arrest operation on a male subject, and the male was in possession of almost 30 grams of methamphetamine, a large amount of marijuana, and numerous drug paraphernalia items. And through interviews, the narcotics officers established the male subject was one of the larger sources supplying methamphetamine to the Waupaca County area. And then also, they conducted surveillance on a known methamphetamine distribution residence in the city of Waupaca. They conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle which left that residence, and the operator of the vehicle was in possession of nearly 40 grams of methamphetamine, numerous weapons, and numerous burglary tools. And this investigation is also still ongoing.
Any questions?
I do. Julie, what day was that drug interdiction?
Oh, shoot, it was mid-early March, March 11th, was a Thursday evening. I think March 11th.
Just to, I was up there also, because I've waited, I always thought, I always say pound for pound and dollar for dollar. I've waited for interdiction is when you actively go out, stop and surveil and look for suspected vehicles. It ain't a checkpoint. It's not anything like that. I always say the amount of drugs on the average, and we found that out from patrol officers and everything that are traveling our main roads, Highway 10 and Highway 45 up to the Northland. I just said, there's a lot of drugs in this county. You go out and look for them and actively, no checkpoints, nothing like that, but just suspected vehicles and people at dealers' houses that you've known for a long time. And we've gotten, complaints from citizens saying that's a drug house, and we finally had an operation like that. And I think there's other chiefs and, us included, finally seen it live, and it worked out. There was drugs and warrants and everything that you would think that would come out of it. And I appreciated that, and the whole, all of us did. So that was, I think, a successful move.
And due to that, we're looking at doing it in different areas of the county as well, just getting things set up.
And not totally understanding. I'm glad you said what you said, because I thought maybe you were stopping on the cars.
No.
So do we as police have the right to just stop a car because we suspect that they're coming from the drug place? I mean, is that what an interdiction
Have to have
means?
reason for the stop.
And, okay, they left a known place, so that's why you can stop them.
Where other drug operations, I'm not giving out any secrets. There's a complaint, or there is a drug stop of with a vehicle that translates back to a residence. Then you find out who dealers are. Then you find out, which is important, because your overdoses, you want to have a line on the dealers and stuff and where this product is coming from. That's why it translated to all encompassing, really, when you think of it, with traffic, with vehicles, with people and everything, you know. So I thought it was successful that night, and you know, Clintonville appreciate it. The chief was out with us too, and worked out nice. So,
And I'm happy to hear that you're maybe going to go to other places within the county that have it, because that hopefully will prevent, you know, free flow of the drugs.
You know, John, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
John, Q public, it confuses me once in a while because in Clintonville, we know we have a number of drug houses we had for years and nothing really got done about it, but now something's getting done about it. And I had a lady come up to me the other day and said, what is going on with the police department? There's squads all over this town. They're in the north and south end. I said, that's a good thing, man. And it's good. Well, they're just looking for excuses to stop somebody so they can nail them for something. I said, whatever it takes, man, we gotta clean this town out. You know? He kept Heck from doing a good job. I know the DA mentioned to our police chief up there, what happened to Clintonville since you got here? There's drugs all over the place. Well, yeah, he's doing something about it along with the sheriff's department. Oh, I tell ya.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on then to the patrol division.
Patrol report, March 2021. Reportable crashes for March 25 compared to 16 a year ago. 0 fatalities this year and last for March. Vehicles involved in those 25 crashes, 31 compared to 21 a year ago. Accidents involving drinking out of those 25 was 3 compared to 1 a year ago. Year-to-date numbers, total reportable accidents, 101 compared to 100 a year ago. Fatalities, 3 compared to 1. There's 2 fatal crashes that resulted in 3 deaths. That's how that's broken down, like I said, compared to 1 a year ago. Traffic arrests, 353. Year-to-date, 776. That compares to 174 a year ago, 613 year-to-date last year. Drunk driving, 11 for the month, 38 for the year, compared to 7 and 30 last year. Canine involvements, 21, year-to-date 46. A year ago, 12 and 47 year-to-date. There was one SWAT call out in March in the city of Clintonville. Came in as a possible hostage situation, guy with a possible knife. We didn't know if his wife or girlfriend was able to leave or chose not to. By the time one of the SWAT teams arrived at the residence, the guy gave up. So they drove up in the MRAP. They were loaded out of the MRAP. The guy gave up. So very successful. No force used or anything, so that's the best we can hope for. The mileage, 83,551 for the month. So we're up to 243,337 miles driven for the year. Couple personnel, Brady Duman. This is his last month in training. He should be done by the end of the month, knock on wood. Nothing changes in his training. He's doing pretty well. We do have interviews starting or this week, Thursday, for an eligibility list, which we will probably be using when Brady puts us up to 100%. And I'll probably let the sheriff say why we're probably need our eligibility list. So that's all I have, unless there's questions.
I have a question on the traffic arrest owls. When there's something that they have to go to court for, I assume that your officers have to be in court when that happens so that they can.
Not initial.
Not necessarily.
Generally, we have a court officer, and Kevin's been doing it, twice a month. When the court date on the citation says this is your court date, most citations, they can pay it by that court date, and they don't show up. If they choose to show up, then they have that court date. If they plead not guilty and it's set for a trial, then individual officers would show up in court. But there are several steps before that date.
And my question then leads to, if they're busy in court, and I don't know how long it takes, if it's an hour or whatever, then do we put somebody else on the patrol for that time slot so that we're still covered within the county, or is it just it's time so that if they're only gone an hour, it doesn't affect their shift?
Well, 3/4 of the officers would probably be off during that time. Because, you know, that's going to be during the day, so half the officers work nights. And then you'll have one shift on, one shift off on days. So most of the time they're going to be off, odds are. And if it's a traffic thing, we probably wouldn't backfill the road because that wouldn't take very long. If it's a scheduled jury trial, we may have to. But our schedule is where it is and where we could lose somebody and still feel comfortable with our coverage. Once you start throwing court and vacations into it, then we may have to.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Captain Rasmussen? Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the records division. Yeah.
So not too much to mention, I did do some core math, so I'll just let you know the totals for fees collected. Is $2,676.30. The year to date would be $9,289.45. I will only have DMV revenue for the previous month because we don't get those totals until the 15th of each month. So that's where my math came in wrong. And just the canine revenue for March is $2,756, and that was from the dog sales yet, calendars, our support the badge signs, and just general donations. And Lindsay's on maternity leave. She had her baby on April 1st, and they're doing good. Other than that, that's all we have.
And I like that you're sending things out in our email.
Oh.
You know, that we can just read them at our leisure.
Yes.
And do that instead of passing them quickly. Right, thank you.
We'll get it working.
It was my computer.
No, they had the same issue.
No, I had the same issue.
Oh,
I couldn't get mine to open up. So.
any other questions? Now we'll move on to the sheriff's office.
The only two things I have, is, if you, when you leave the building today, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a new flag out in front of it's the sheriff's office flag out in front of the building. It took some time to figure out what color, what was going to be put on it, but, it's a heavy flag, but it flies in the wind. It's nice, it's noticeable, and then, when you leave, you can see the flag out there. The only other thing I have is our squads, I think, are ahead of schedule. Our new squad, we have one in, it's already done in Madison, getting out the new Tahoes, 2021 Tahoes, and I guess probably this week 4 more coming from our regular squads. You'll see them, they're big vehicles, bigger for Tahoe, that's a big vehicle. But I've seen the ones around the state, they're really nice squads. I mean, if the officers, if I had a squad that big back in the day, I would have been pretty darn comfortable compared to the diplomats and the caprices and the Crown Vics. I mean, you're going to see them, and for the money, it was almost dollar for dollar with the Explorers. So you're going to see new squads. What all I have right now.
Any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to Kathy, the medical examiner's report.
So for hospice, we had 34, house deaths, we had 3, 4 hospital, either ER, less than 24 hours. 1 injury, no suicides, no nursing home, no CRF, no fatals, no drowning, no homicides, no fire deaths, no infant. No drug overdoses. We had 1 other, and that was a stillborn. No disinterment, 2 COVID from other counties that passed away in other counties, but were Waupaca County residents. 2 cremations for a total of 47. No autopsies. We had 27 cremations, 3 county pays, and 4 COVID deaths.
Any questions for Kathy? Thank you. Then we're moving on to the sheriff's report.
I'll start off with Captain Rasmussen alluded to the interview coming up on Thursday. We will be filling that position because David Huber
26 or 27-year veteran is retired. Yeah, took enough vacation, so he's been off for a while, and he won't be back till they have really enough. But he's been a good officer, and we're sad to see him go.
A question on them doing the vacation thing. Can they accumulate like is a policy change in the county now that you can only accumulate so many? Or you can accumulate as many as you want to?
Vacation is, I think he's up to 5 weeks, and he used them all this year right away, because he got them back, I think, in January.
Okay.
So he just decided to use them and stretch out his time here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. Using the system.
We did get our 2020 water patrol reimbursement, and that amount is $53,096.52. That, it's prorated to 75%. What they figured. Yeah, so which is pretty good. As long as we're talking about water patrol. I signed the MOU with the town of Farmington and Dayton for reserving our water patrol boat spots at the veterans home. Yeah, that's good for 5 years. And then, of course, they signed the same MOU. Signed an MOU with Dayton and Farmington to continue our 40-hour patrol out there, that they'll front up the money. Well, we'll invoice them at the end of the year, what they're paying for a 40-hour a week person. And again, with the 2 boats that they supplied, that also continues. However, there's some interest in Dayton not renewing that next year, the boat. They would like to just give us the boat and wash their hands of the boat responsibility. So be prepared for that.
Did that jump like the other one?
Oh, that's broken. That's the one that's broken. They don't want to buy it.
How did it typically work before? Did we buy the boat?
They did.
We buy the boat.
Yeah, I think it's 38% Dayton and the balance from the town of Farmington. Kevin, you were part of that too.
Yeah, we purchased the boat, term, at 60/40 euro.
Yeah.
And I think if you go back, I believe, Kat, let's go back to like Danny Capricious and such, the boat landings, the boats, the water patrol and everything. I think that was a lot of the agreements they had, and spread some of the costs around, because we took over the boat landings totally on that. We take care of pretty much the patrol costs on that, and their share of that would be that, they would take care of the percentage for the boat. Now they get reimbursed, or we get reimbursed, and then they get reimbursed, whatever, for a good percentage of the boat as well.
Well, after 5 years, their boats are paid.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, there's not like, we're putting out a ton of money, maybe up front there's some, obviously. But in reality, it comes down that the boats are pretty much a wash to the township. And, so it isn't a terrible expense for them. I suspect once again, it was, when you look at the whole package of the chain, as to how it's being, the county involved with the chain under those things. I suspect, and going back again, I think it's Danny Fabricius, I wasn't involved in those times at all, but I think he just worked out a very good deal for the township at the time, he was chairman all those years. And I think the county worked out a good deal, as far as we're, it's an important area, and we'll put certain amount of money into it as well, and effort into it. And it seemed to be a good balance for a long sheriff, I mean, it's been forever. Seems almost that they've done this kind of thing. And for some reason or other, who knows what that is, but for some reason or other, the townships are, they shouldn't be having any financial issues going on at all. I mean, they shouldn't have any financial issues. And it's a good service being provided to the residents of the chain. 600 house residents live on the chain. Are county taxpayers and property taxes.
So I'm not sure where they're coming from, but I'm on Park and Rec, and we're getting, some feedback on that regarding how the chain wants to deal with things too. So I'm glad that we're getting the agreements, with the township regarding some of this. But I think I verbally opposed a few months ago that the county should have to pay for the boats. There's no reason for that. It should be a partnership. And the township certainly have the ability to afford it. It's not going to raise taxes for it or anything. It is not affecting it. And it's a good partnership, so we do work together somewhat for the chain itself. So, the boats do take a beating. They're used a lot. I mean, you're always on the move and you're always doing things. And for whatever reason, we had to repair even when I was, for those 2 years, Chairman, we even had to repair like new boats that we purchased because of the welding or something too. So I'm not sure how that works or why that's an issue, but it always seems to be an issue that the boats always turn over. Even 5-7 years on a boat like that, you're really pushing the envelope. But I'm glad, Sheriff, you're working with those townships. And then keep us informed, if you would, as to what they're asking of you.
Right now, we're gonna get a good status for the rest of the year. I know that the one boat that's tearing underneath that could be just a manufactured defect. But they don't cover government entities usage of a boat. Yeah, they'll give them a 1-year warranty, not the 20-year or 30-year that is extended to the public. So
What about our insurance policy? Do they cover that?
No, because they don't own the boat. So our county's insurance, I don't know. I don't think that,
We never address that.
I think
because
unless you
sometimes
run the
the
boat
town-
into a pile of rocks or a tree, it wouldn't be covered under normal use for a boat just to fall apart. That's not the insurance company's problem.
I would think so.
No. I know that Caroline has continued to call the manufacturer. So she's really drilling down to get someone to answer. Anyway, as the information comes, I'll keep you guys informed.
And thank you, Kevin, for the history of that, because like you say, if we don't know that historically the towns have gotten the votes, but we've done these other things as a partnership kind of thing, and that they're fully reimbursed, then we would think, well, maybe it would be our responsibility to buy them, but if it's typically covered in grants, that's something.
I see one side of Dayton, they're confused as to why Fremont, we bought the boats for Fremont. Why we're supplying the boats for Fremont, but not Dayton. That's where confusion comes into a lot of people. Well, mainly supervisors. And I can't answer that.
I'm assuming though that, although you must, and I'm not familiar at all with the river, the boat, but I'm assuming that you probably do trailer that if something comes up in that immediate area or something.
We will, one of the boat troughs who's been there a while.
Yeah.
He transports the boats to Bear Lake. So he goes to other portions of the
Right.
with those boats.
So it's being used throughout, whereas a chain, they are on the chain. Right.
Yes, they're docked there, and they stay there.
That's what I was going to say too, that like in the town of Brown, because I feel like it might be, occasionally they will be stopping up there to show their presence. And I'm sure they do that with other lakes too. So it's more of a county kind of boat because it's covering all that area. Okay, good, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, we got some checks.
All right.
Got a canine check from American Legion Auxiliary for $250. We have it's like $106 from can't read the name on here, kid. Do you know who that is from? Thomas J.
I haven't looked at it for a while.
Pack of Mad 2020 DON. So, set a canine unit, 106 even. And, the Twin County Riders Snowmobile Club wrote us a check for $500 to the canine, thanking us for, all we do, and we thank them for helping us out.
What is our fund stand at?
We're over 50,000.
How much?
We did well last year.
Yes.
The public is very kind to us.
And what does it cost us per year for the dogs?
Well,
I mean, I think that's originally the way it started was we wanted to have the revenues. Try to meet the expenses.
Well, not only that, but something could happen to a dog, and that's a huge expense.
Right.
You know, you're talking almost 15,000 by the time you have training. So it varies because if they have to go to the veterinarian for either a small injury or a big injury, it all depends. So we don't know. Every year it could change, because then the dog food is kind of a constant, but, and then we have toys. Training, and well, yes, there is a training, which is mandatory. Then they'll train, maybe some other agencies will have training, so they'll go attend that. No leather straps they gotta buy. You know, that's something that wears out. These dogs are overactive. To say the least, except for the black lab, he's the lover. So, and that's the one we like to take to school. Lays at your feet once you get back.
Anything else?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the annual report update.
I just wanted to update you, committee, that we rescheduled it for June. First, county board meeting in June. You know, you mentioned that you would like me to give you a synopsis of it. Maybe?
Well, when I was on Lakeview, the annual report before it was given to the county board typically passed to the committee. And the same with the highway, you know, the commissioner would bring us that. And then what was the other one? Oh, Department of Health and Human Services, but they haven't done that in the past couple of years because there's been a change. And they were always, you know, it was mostly facts and figures, that kind of thing. And I don't know what your report is, but that's why I asked. You know, when it come through the committee so that we could at least see what was being presented.
So I could present kind of a shorter version of it, because I would want to give it all to you and then you send it to county board at the same thing.
Sure.
So then in the May, I'll do that for a May committee.
Okay, good.
Or could I do it in June? I could do it in June.
June, because
Yeah, so I'll do it in June.
Casey did that for our highway. Okay, he
Yes.
basically practiced what he's gonna tell the county board. And so he told us exactly, almost word for word, what he was going to do, you know, and county board. It gives him and I a chance to go over to make sure it flowed through and,
With the props and everything?
Huh?
With the props still?
Yes, oh yeah, oh yeah. He's-
Well, I only have one problem.
I'll bring fishing season there.
I can bring that pistol and practice or something on the outside, see if he gets on it, you know. See if we're qualified to sheriff.
Well, it's the first annual that we've done, so I didn't know that, so that went there for June.
Is that something that I need to do then too?
Yes.
No, I have, mine is in December, but I mean, I should bring it to this committee first then, right?
It would be nice because then you know, and if we have questions, then you can expect them to be from.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Keep it under an hour though.
I told you, Dick, I'm gonna give you 6 minutes and Carl's gonna time me. I'm gonna go a minute ago. And I'm just gonna stop where I'm at.
Unacceptable.
Good, we appreciate that annual report. Because I think it's important that people know what we do and how much we're doing, and we're out there and working hard. If you don't get in front of it, especially with Zoom now, you know, the usually the people that can watch it, really appreciate it. So thank you. Okay, update on the new dispatch center.
Carl? Well, I can start it out. Sheriff, I finally got out of the state of Wisconsin. I didn't attend the last meeting we have, but as an update, on the county website, we have a request for bids on the construction part of it. Went out last week, and we are presently working on the request for bids for the actual consoles and the electric part of it, and all that is all encompassing in that. And that hopefully will be finalized this week also, and should be out for that bid also. With finance losing one of the people that used to work on the bids, that kind of slowed down the process, but Kim and everybody got up to speed, and I think it looked very similar to all our other bids that we've had over the years. It's pretty much was a template, but we already have people. We had the newspaper part of it, and we already had 3 to 4 construction entities that already were asking questions. So it did get around. It did get around in a quick hurry. So hopefully we're keeping Heidi involved at all phases, and she's happy that we're keeping her up to date with everything else. So anything should change as far as any cost estimates or anything that's involved in the project, but it is moving along. And then I don't know, Venture Architects was here last week in March, and the work that day, I don't know if there was anything remarked or anything.
We're talking more about the pulling the cables and stuff for feeding the consoles and the layout. But we've it's a process. It sure is eye-opening, because they know what they're talking about. When they ask us questions that we can't answer, they understand it. We're getting through it, because we're going to have some TVs mounted up there with a smart board, maybe 1 or 2, and get them to know. They need to know where and all those other things. So it's hard to figure out with that wall there. So, then we went through how we want the doors keyed. We'll have access, how it's wired. Those are answers for Brent. Because Ron's application, so they work together on that. Just a lot of finalizing of what entries were.
So the projected dates that I've been reading on all our bids, bid openings will be in May. And project probably will start shortly after that. So we'll give you a heads up where the meeting is going to be next month. If it's not going to be here, we'll tell you. We'll tell you in plenty of time where the meeting will be, because we'll have to clean this out in a quick hurry. Everything goes, So there's not a lot. Chairs, tables, some of this stuff. But they're gonna clean out the whole room, and I told Ron to grab the ceiling tiles, because you can use them around, this building still. And he said, I'm glad you said that, because they come in here and they just tear it all down. So, yeah.
Does the fire extinguishing situation be a dry chemical, or have you incorporated that in your? Because you don't want water in your comm center.
They were talking about delay switches and such, if it should come to that. There's a special apparatus. They were talking the same thing with the jail also, that you can get different kind of sprinklers.
I remember the guy was here with Andy, we talked about him using that information.
Now, if, I can't remember when the opening of the bids is, and if it is after our meeting, can we have a special meeting? So that we can present them and then go forward with choose. Otherwise, we have to wait another month. Because we're looking at, we gave on November 30th, complete date. But he's assuming they'll be done before that.
I think that's where the 10th.
Then we had to figure out how we want people to enter. There's gonna be some heavy, little bit heavy duty equipment. We gotta bring in blocks and stuff. It's gonna be a west door that they're gonna come through. Less turns than if they came through the run. Going through that festival.
Yeah.
Glass doors.
And that'll be a disruption.
Maybe they're much less of that because they're not coming through the front. Always if we have customers standing in the records or place or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Then going to number 12, additional personnel to the comms center.
Yeah, we talked about, currently we have 4 short, but with the amount of calls we're getting, and the amount of agencies that are coming on board with Stone, and more entries for the dispatchers, we're looking at one of the add at least 4 more.
So we're down to 8.
Well, if we wanted, we would be.
That's good math.
But we're looking at, look how hard it is to hire someone. So I'm thinking if we could get some approval for this next year, next year's budget, we could start those interviews early if it's looking like we may get them. Keep people ready. It's the schedule, it's the nights, it's the being in that room, which hopefully this room is gonna help that.
But you're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and when you're servicing the people, not everybody wants a job like that. Most of them want a 5 day a week and a weekend off and the holidays off, and you guys are working holidays and it makes it tough to hire people.
But I think it would help a lot having the additional personnel in there,
Less stress.
because when you're on a 911 call giving CPR instruction and there's only 2 people in there and another person's doing radio, and you have to keep putting that person that you're instructing on hold because you have to answer the phone. You know, that's like to the point where they are now, and it's burning everyone out. They need to have more personnel in there. And I think he's on the right path by getting it approved now, so that you can get that. It's really gonna help out and keep those people that are in there right now. Because if you lose any more, it's gonna be detrimental to the county.
Yeah, we're not only losing, people who are just starting and just before they finish their required training, they have to quit for no particular reason other than they just, like I told you, it's the hours, it's the being in that closed room, it's a stress, multitasking. If we start losing experienced ones, then we don't have anyone to train anyone. So, I mean, think about it. They're the first people to respond to every call. They save lives, they mediate, they counsel, they take it. If people are mad, very rare when they call up. Someone has a problem. That's why we're here, to help them with their problem, but they take abuse. If they give it back in any slight amount, then they're considered rude.
Yeah.
Then they'll complain to someone, maybe the sergeant or the captain, or me. And then when the officer gets there, he's got to put out a fire that these people started, and then, I mean, it really is the toughest job.
I had a person complain to me that, he had a shed fire. And he said the dispatcher kept on the phone, he could not drop his phone and go get his tractor out of the shed that was burning, and he was upset, and I realized, being a fireman, I realized that, both sides, but the dispatcher can't send anybody out there unless he's got all the proper information, so, but the gentleman was upset, that she made me stay on the phone and hold it, and I wanted to go, get my tractor out before it burned, and so there's both sides of the story. When you're on one side, you're calling in, and I want everybody to come and help me immediately. And it sounds like, I've been on there. It seems like that 30 seconds is 5 minutes when you're waiting for something to happen. And unfortunately, I calmed the gentleman down,
You probably saved his life.
Well, but I said, hey, they got to do their job. That's what they're trained. That's how they do it. You can't just, everybody thinks it's like on TV where it happens so easily and never anybody has any problems. But yeah, and it turned out fine, but it just, it was upset when he couldn't drop a cell phone because he wanted to get that tractor out of the shed. So if you want the fire department to come, you better tell them all the information. So it's, you guys have a lot of issues there, and most of us don't understand it.
I'll sit in there and shift, you don't understand it.
I think, Sheriff, if I could say this, I think there's other things that have to be addressed in there too, by talking to someone who's worked there years past, and the attitude, the atmosphere has to change in there too. The language has to change in there too. I'm telling you, that's what I'm hearing from the atmosphere here. It's not good. And it's, yeah, I know. But I'm just saying we have to address that too.
And that was created by lack of personnel, long hours.
Yeah.
And the long hours come because if you want a vacation and there's not enough people, then you gotta give up your day off and come in. And now you, instead of working 4 days straight, you work 5. So yes, we understand that is part of what we're working on. When we figure out that solution, we'll be probably be hired by other agencies. It is, it's troublesome at times, and we are working on it. As an administrative, and being the chief deputy, we're constantly talking about it and seeing what we can do to create a better atmosphere. But that doesn't happen overnight because it's been on.
So it's a long time in coming.
Yes. We even spoke with Kim, who's worked in there. We spoke with Kathy, who's worked in there. We'll take any information we can get or any advice to help it. So we are working on it.
And it is a professional job, and professional atmosphere should be held in esteem there.
I agree. There's no excuse for me. This is something that we agree is a problem. We'll work on it.
Is there people available for them to talk about the stress that they're, not only are they having stress there, I'm sure, they have a life besides their jobs. There could be a combination of things too.
Yes,
We just need to help them.
We've offered to a number of employees. So, take that option.
With the 4 vacancies now, when do we see filling them? It's like, I don't want to talk about 4 more until I get these 4 in there, so that we know that we can do it.
Well, we've got those 2 backgrounds we're doing now. Once they're completed and accepted, then we can have them go see Dr. Pico, physical, and then they'll be hired probably 2 weeks after. So probably looking at another month.
But that's only 2 people. Don't we need another 2?
Yeah,
So
in the
should we be
process-
having more
Yes,
entry?
in the process, we've had 5 do the critical. And now we're gonna re-interview. So we have them do that critical,
Mhm.
and then it shows how good they do on it. And those are the people that we pick, the higher ones, and interview them. And we're trying to get that process done. That's why we didn't have, I think you missed a few, right? Because we wanted to accelerate this, right? Instead of waiting and scheduling, and then you're not working, or you're off, you're not available, so you have to wait.
No, I say go ahead.
Right, so that's what we started doing. So when Shane gets back, he's gonna get the list, and we're probably gonna have interviews next week.
We're finding out that in law enforcement in general, be it jail, patrol, anything, we gotta be a lot quicker. And I mean, our evidence tech, that was an eye opener, that the personnel can go that fast. I mean, one day they're there, and the next day they're hired by somebody else. And that, especially, we gotta be a lot quicker in the communications department, get them moving.
As soon as they were done with their interviews the other day on those specific two, we immediately started the background.
And you don't know that until you do that. But no, I'm glad that we're moving on and quickly, like you say, so that we can get people in there, because it's not good for our president.
No. And summer's coming, and vacations are coming, and people want to be off.
We're lucky the staff did step up. I walked in there last week and I just wanted to look at the vacation sheet. I mean, it was a full sheet, but there was only probably 6 openings in there. I mean, everybody, they're adding into their own stress load, but they are stepping up and they are filling them shifts, at this point. But summer's coming. That's where it gets tough. That's all divisions,
So then if we would go for additional, our councils, do we have enough of that so that we have enough place for everyone? Okay.
There's 8 spots.
I thought you had said that you find.
The council's gonna stretch 31 to 32 feet.
Oh, wow.
Well, so 50 inches between the walls.
Oh, good.
Huge.
Well, you need big monitors to be able to do that.
It's gonna give them some room.
And with the expansion, if we would have to add, are we gonna have room for that?
Well, luxury, at this point is three in there, but usually with the sergeant, you have a 4th. If you were to have 4, even 5 with the sergeant, you're still leaving 3 open ones. It was 20 years as it was with 6, and with 8, I think it'll outlive the years, as long as Appleton don't start moving this way, and we get bigger, but constantly, on the low end. I think, with the 8 consoles, that was for expansion for at least 20 years, from what I've seen, seen it.
I don't know that we're wrong. Not like her, Meg.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, then we'll go to dance alternatives if there are any. Okay. And with that, our next meeting is May 11th at 9. I'm going to need a motion to adjourn, please. So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Poland, seconded by Kevin to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried at 10:10.